A quiet risk in the garden. Have you ever paused before your morning smoothie or hearty salad and asked yourself, could this be doing more harm than good? For many seniors, food becomes more than just fuel. It becomes a strategy, something we use to manage energy, blood pressure, memory, and overall health. And often, vegetables are hailed as the safest, most beneficial choice on the plate. But what if I told you that not all greens are created equal? That some of the most praised vegetables, depending on your condition, may carry quiet risks? Let's start with the picture. Imagine a woman in her early 70s, a proud grandmother. She lives alone but stays active, tending to her garden, walking every morning, reading the newspaper with her breakfast of spinach omelette and kale smoothie. On paper, she's doing everything right. But one morning, something shifts. She wakes up dizzy, weak, her right arm oddly heavy, her speech comes out slurred. A neighbor calls emergency services, and the doctors confirm what no one expected: a mild stroke. They ask about her history, her medications, her routine. Everything seems stable. But then, they ask about her diet, and slowly, a possibility emerges that her otherwise healthy intake of high oxalate greens may have been working against her blood and vascular balance. Now, this is not a condemnation of vegetables, not at all. They remain crucial for fiber, minerals, and longevity. But for older adults, particularly those managing blood pressure, anticoagulants, or kidney sensitivity, some vegetables, especially in excess, may subtly tip the scales. That's what today's guide is about. A calm, considered look at 9 vegetables that may carry hidden risks, especially when consumed frequently or without awareness. We're not here to fear food. We're here to understand it. And through this journey, Silver Health Talk invites you to reconsider not whether vegetables are good, but how they're good for you at this stage of your life. Because healthy aging is not about copying someone else's diet. It's about knowing your body well enough to choose what truly serves it. Let's begin. The role of oxalates when good greens go too far. Before we dive into the list, let's understand a key concept: oxalates. Oxalates are naturally occurring compounds found in many plants, particularly leafy greens. On their own, they're not inherently dangerous. In fact, for most people, the body can process them without issue. But for older adults, especially those with reduced kidney function, mineral imbalances, or who are taking blood thinners, oxalates can quietly cause trouble. When consumed in large amounts, oxalates can bind to calcium in your body. This may lead to the formation of crystals, which over time can contribute to kidney stones and interfere with how the body regulates important minerals in the blood. For someone already managing circulatory or kidney issues, this can increase the risk of vascular problems, including elevated stroke risk. Let's make this clear. It's not that the vegetable is bad. It's the volume, the frequency, and the context. Let's use spinach as an example. Rich in iron, fiber, vitamin K, all good things. But it's also one of the highest oxalate vegetables. For a healthy adult with balanced nutrition and normal kidney function, moderate spinach is fine. But for a senior, taking medication for blood pressure or using anticoagulants like warfarin, the high vitamin K and oxalate load could lead to complications if eaten daily in large servings. This isn't about panic, it's about proportion. And it's why Silver Health Talk encourages a more personalized view of health, one that considers not just what's generally healthy, but what's healthy for you at this moment in your life. Now that we've covered the role oxalates can play, we're ready to explore specific vegetables and why certain ones, even with their health halo, may need a second look. This isn't about avoiding them entirely. It's about understanding when moderation is wisdom. So as we move forward, listen closely. You may recognize a few favorites on this list. That doesn't mean you've been doing anything wrong. It simply means it's time to update your knowledge, to adjust your choices with the quiet confidence that comes from awareness. In the next part, we'll begin with the first of 9 vegetables to approach with caution, not to remove joy from your plate, but to keep balance in your body. Let's begin with number 1. Vegetable number 1: spinach. the silent overachiever, our first vegetable, is one that has likely earned a permanent spot in many kitchens: spinach. It's often called a superfood, and in many ways, it deserves the title. Spinach is rich in iron, magnesium, folate, fiber, and vitamins A, C, and K. It supports immunity, digestion, and vision. It's low in calories and easy to blend into nearly any dish, from salads to soups to smoothies. But as we've gently mentioned before, even good things must be balanced. Spinach is exceptionally high in oxalates, compounds that can bind to calcium and contribute to kidney stone formation. For individuals with a history of kidney issues or those managing mineral absorption problems, excess oxalate intake can be a quiet burden on the body. Now, for seniors, particularly those over 60, the situation becomes more complex. Spinach is also one of the highest dietary sources of vitamin K1, a nutrient essential for proper blood clotting. But here's where caution comes in. If you are taking blood thinners, like warfarin, vitamin K can interfere with how those medications work. A sudden increase or decrease in vitamin K intake, especially from natural sources like spinach, can affect your medication's effectiveness. This doesn't mean you need to eliminate spinach entirely, but it does mean you should monitor your portion sizes. A small serving a few times a week may be fine. A daily green smoothie loaded with spinach could be excessive. Cook your spinach when possible. Cooking reduces oxalate levels compared to raw consumption. Consult your doctor if you're on medication that affects clotting or calcium balance. Rotate your greens. Swap spinach with lower oxalate options like arugula, romaine, or bok choy. At Silver Health Talk, we often say, healthy aging is not about restriction, it's about rebalancing with wisdom. Spinach is not the enemy. It's simply a food that deserves a thoughtful place in your meal plan, not a starring role at every sitting. As we move on to the second vegetable in our list, keep in mind, you don't have to give up your favorites. You just need to know your body and your context, and adjust with grace. So now, let's explore the next surprising entry, a vegetable often praised for its bitterness and detox properties, but may come with risks when overused. Vegetable number 2, beet greens. Beautiful but burdensome. Next on our list is a vegetable that often goes unnoticed: beet greens. Most people focus on the vibrant red root of the beet, slicing it into salads or juicing it for its earthy richness. But those leafy green tops, they're edible, nutritious, and for some, even more beneficial than the root itself. Beet greens are rich in fiber, calcium, magnesium, and especially vitamin K. In fact, they contain even more vitamin K than spinach. And this is where a note of caution becomes necessary. As mentioned earlier, vitamin K plays a central role in blood clotting. For seniors who are taking anticoagulant medications, the sudden inclusion of high vitamin K greens like beet tops can subtly disrupt blood thinning routines, sometimes without warning. Beet greens are also moderately high in oxalates. While not as concentrated as spinach, they still contribute to oxalate load, especially if consumed frequently or combined with other high oxalate vegetables in a single meal. Now, none of this is meant to paint beet greens in a negative light. Quite the opposite. They are deeply nourishing, but context matters. As the body ages, its filtration systems change. Kidneys work a bit slower, digestion takes more energy, and even the way we process minerals evolves. So while a handful of beet greens might be perfect for someone in their 30s, that same portion may need reconsideration after 60, especially for those managing medications, high blood pressure, or bone mineral density. Let's also consider preparation. Many people toss raw beet greens into green juices or salads, thinking they're maximizing nutrition. And while raw greens do retain certain vitamins, they also retain more oxalates. A simple steam or saute can lower that oxalate content and make them gentler on the body. So what can you do? Cook. Don't juice your beet greens. Use them sparingly. If you're on blood thinning medication, balance them with lower vitamin K vegetables like zucchini or cabbage. And most importantly, don't fear them, just be aware. At Silver Health Talk, we encourage a balanced plate over a perfect one. A few beet greens now and then are not dangerous, but adding them daily to a smoothie, salad, or sauce, especially on top of other vitamin K-rich foods, could create an unseen imbalance. So the takeaway here is simple: enjoy the greens nature gives you, but do so with the insight that age brings. Knowledge, not avoidance, is the key to aging well. In the next part, we'll talk about a third vegetable, one that hides in many low-carb meals and trendy stir-fries. It's crunchy, bitter, and praised for its cleansing properties, but not always gentle on the older body. Let's take a closer look next. Vegetable number 3: bitter melon. The double-edged detox. Now we arrive at a vegetable that's earned a global reputation for its health benefits, particularly in traditional medicine circles. Bitter melon. Known for its sharp taste and rough texture, bitter melon is popular in many Asian and Caribbean cuisines. It's often recommended for blood sugar support, digestion, and liver health. Some even call it a natural detoxifier. And while these qualities may hold truth, bitter melon also brings a complexity that deserves caution, especially for older adults. Let's start with what makes bitter melon so respected. It contains compounds that mimic insulin, potentially lowering blood sugar levels naturally. For someone with prediabetes or mild insulin resistance, that might sound like a benefit. But here's the issue: if you're already taking medication to lower blood sugar, bitter melon can cause your levels to drop far too fast, leading to dizziness, fatigue, confusion, or even fainting. In fact, several case reports have documented episodes of hypoglycemia in seniors who added bitter melon to their diet without adjusting their diabetes medication. This interaction can go unnoticed, especially when symptoms like shakiness or brain fog are mistaken for normal aging. But blood sugar isn't the only concern. Bitter melon can also interact with blood pressure medications and diuretics. Its natural bitterness stimulates the digestive tract, which may increase urination and fluid loss. Not a major issue for most adults, but potentially risky for seniors already managing hydration or electrolyte balance. Dehydration, even mild, can increase stroke risk in older adults, especially during hot weather or illness. None of this means bitter melon is harmful in small amounts. It simply means it has powerful properties, and like all powerful tools, it requires careful handling. If you enjoy bitter melon, here are a few guidelines. Avoid combining it with blood sugar or blood pressure medications unless advised by your doctor. Limit your portion size. A small serving once or twice a week is more than enough. Cook it thoroughly. This reduces some of its stronger compounds and makes it easier on digestion. And always listen to your body. If you feel faint, weak, or mentally foggy after eating it, don't ignore those signals. At Silver Health Talk, we honor tradition, but we also respect science. Many traditional vegetables, like bitter melon, have earned their place in cultural diets for good reason. But as we age, what's helpful at 40 may become harmful at 70, not because the food has changed, but because we have. The message here isn't to fear bitter melon, it's to treat it as a strong herb, not a casual side dish. Next, we'll explore a vegetable that seems too gentle to worry about, often used in juices, praised for digestion, and commonly added to soups. But its gentle taste can hide some surprising effects in the aging body. Let's explore that in the next part. Vegetable number 4: celery, the quiet disruptor. Now let's turn our attention to a vegetable that feels so innocent, so clean, that it's often overlooked in any conversation about health risks: celery. It's crisp, hydrating, and low in calories. It's used in everything from soups to green juices, and many seniors lean on it as a reliable, safe choice for snacking or digestive support. Celery is praised for its high water content and mild diuretic properties, which can help flush excess fluids from the body. It also provides antioxidants and fiber, both essential for healthy aging. But as with the other vegetables we've explored, context matters, and for older adults, celery's very strengths can quietly become challenges. Let's begin with its diuretic effect. While mild compared to prescription medications, celery naturally encourages the body to eliminate excess water in small quantities. This isn't a concern. but when consumed daily in juices or large servings, especially during summer months, or alongside medications for high blood pressure or heart failure, this can lead to dehydration, quiet but serious risk for seniors. Even a slight drop in hydration can affect blood pressure, circulation, and brain clarity, all of which are tied closely to stroke risk. Many seniors don't feel thirst as strongly as they once did, so dehydration often goes unnoticed until fatigue, lightheadedness, or confusion sets in. Another issue to consider is celery's high sodium content, which may surprise many people. While it's a natural sodium, celery contains more than most other vegetables. In larger servings or juices, especially if combined with other salty foods, it can contribute to elevated sodium levels, potentially impacting blood pressure and vascular stress. Then there's the matter of allergic sensitivity. Though rare, celery allergy is considered one of the more serious vegetable-based allergies in older adults in Europe and parts of Asia. For most people, it's not an issue, but it's worth knowing if you've ever experienced unusual symptoms like swelling, itching, or throat discomfort after eating it raw. So what's the takeaway? Celery isn't a vegetable to avoid, it's a vegetable to respect. Limit high-volume celery juicing, especially if you're also taking diuretics. Balance it with water-rich but gentler vegetables like cucumber or zucchini. Listen to your hydration signals. If you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or overly dry, scale back and hydrate. And remember, it's not just what you eat, it's how often and in what combination. At Silver Health Talk, we like to say a little celery crunch is refreshing. Daily celery cleanse? That's another story. In the next part, we'll move to a vegetable that wears many disguises, sometimes roasted, sometimes mashed, and often overlooked in its impact on potassium and fluid balance. It's one of the most common side dishes on the senior plate, and it's time we looked at it more closely. Vegetable number 5: potatoes. A hidden impact on pressure and potassium. Among the world's most beloved vegetables, potatoes often feel like comfort on a plate. Baked, mashed, roasted, or boiled, they've long been a staple in family meals. For seniors, they offer softness that's easy to chew, a familiar taste, and a warming presence in everything from stews to sides. But despite their humble image, potatoes deserve a closer look, not because they're inherently harmful, but because their nutritional profile can quietly shift the body's balance over time. Let's begin with potassium. Potatoes are naturally high in potassium, a mineral that supports nerve function, muscle control, and fluid balance. In moderation, potassium is essential, but in high amounts, especially for older adults with reduced kidney function, too much potassium can build up in the blood, a condition known as hyperkalemia. Why does this matter? Because excess potassium can directly affect the heart's rhythm and increase vascular strain. For individuals with chronic kidney disease, diabetes, or heart conditions, all more common after age 60, high potassium foods like potatoes may raise stroke risk indirectly by disrupting the heart's electrical system or elevating blood pressure unpredictably. Another concern is blood sugar. Though often seen as a vegetable, potatoes are starch-heavy, meaning they act more like refined carbohydrates in the bloodstream. A medium-baked potato can spike blood glucose levels quickly, especially when eaten without protein or fiber. For seniors managing prediabetes or blood sugar instability, this kind of spike, followed by a sharp drop, can contribute to fatigue, mental fog, and long-term vascular wear. Now, none of this means you should avoid potatoes altogether. They still offer fiber, vitamin C, and valuable energy. But as always, portion, preparation, and personal context are key. If you enjoy potatoes, here are a few strategies to make them safer. Choose boiled or roasted over fried. Avoid adding heavy salts or butter that compound blood pressure concerns. Pair potatoes with protein or healthy fats, like grilled fish or olive oil, to slow absorption and reduce blood sugar spikes. Limit portion sizes. A few slices or half a medium potato may be more appropriate than a full plate. Explore alternatives like sweet potatoes in moderation, turnips, or cauliflower mash, all of which provide similar comfort with less potassium load. At Silver Health Talk, we believe no food should be labeled bad in isolation. But we also believe every bite should be informed, especially as the body becomes more sensitive with age. A potato may be harmless at 30, but at 70, with kidney or heart concerns, it may need a second thought. Next, we'll turn to a leafy green that's often used as a garnish, but increasingly popular in health drinks and meal plans. It brings a punch of flavor and potentially more than that. For some seniors, let's explore that next. Vegetable number 6, parsley. More than just a garnish, you've likely seen it sitting quietly on the side of a dinner plate, or finely chopped into a soup or smoothie. Parsley, often treated as a garnish, is increasingly becoming a staple in health-conscious kitchens, and it's easy to see why. Parsley is rich in vitamin C, folate, antioxidants, and particularly vitamin K, also has mild diuretic and anti-inflammatory properties, making it appealing for those seeking natural support for digestion, immunity, and circulation. But for seniors, especially those with blood pressure issues, kidney concerns, or on anticoagulants, parsley may deliver more than you bargained for. Let's begin with vitamin K. A single tablespoon of chopped parsley contains more than 150% of the recommended daily intake. For seniors on blood thinners like warfarin, even a modest increase in vitamin K from food sources can interfere with medication levels, raising the risk of clotting or reducing the drug's effectiveness without any visible sign. The issue here is not that parsley is too potent, it's that it's easy to overlook. When parsley is added liberally to green juices, detox blends, or soups, especially in fresh bunches, its vitamin K content can skyrocket. Then there's parsley's diuretic effect. While not as strong as celery or bitter melon, it still stimulates fluid elimination. For seniors already using diuretics for high blood pressure or heart failure, excess parsley may amplify dehydration risk, which, in turn, can lower blood volume and increase stroke vulnerability during periods of stress, illness, or heat. And while rare, parsley allergy or sensitivity can appear as itching, skin reactions, or digestive upset in older adults, particularly those with seasonal pollen allergies. So how should parsley be used? In moderation. A sprinkle is fine. A handful every day in juice form may not be. Avoid high doses in raw form. If you're taking blood thinners, rotate herbs. Try mixing parsley with milder herbs like dill, basil, or cilantro for variety and balance. And always consider the whole picture, your medication, hydration, and diet as a whole, not just the parsley in isolation. At Silver Health Talk, we believe that health isn't found in extremes. It's found in the gentle middle where awareness meets enjoyment. Parsley can add brightness to a meal, but for the aging body, brightness should never come at the expense of balance. Next, we'll turn to a cruciferous vegetable that's often steamed, roasted, or tossed into stir-fries and has a reputation for being one of the healthiest foods on earth. But even that reputation doesn't make it a perfect fit for every senior plate. Let's explore that in the next part. Vegetable number 7, kale, the overachiever with a hidden edge. Few vegetables have been praised as highly in the last decade as kale. It's become a symbol of health itself, blended into smoothies, crisped into chips, tossed in salads, and steamed on dinner plates, and it's not undeserved. Kale is rich in fiber, antioxidants, calcium, vitamin C, and especially vitamin K, often promoted for its role in heart health and bone strength. But like many nutrient-dense foods, kale brings with it a complexity, especially for older adults with sensitive health conditions, medications, or mineral imbalances. Let's begin with vitamin K. Once again, kale contains some of the highest levels of vitamin K, one of any vegetable, far surpassing spinach or parsley. In just 1 cup of raw kale, you'll find over 600% of the recommended daily intake. For seniors on blood-thinning medications, that level can dramatically shift clotting times. Even with a single serving, especially if kale is suddenly added to the diet in smoothies or salads, the effects may not be immediate or dramatic, but over time, they can lead to dangerous inconsistencies in how your blood responds to medication, raising the risk of stroke or internal clotting. Next, we consider goitrogens. Kale belongs to the cruciferous family alongside broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage and contains compounds known as goitrogens, which in excess may interfere with thyroid hormone production. For seniors already managing hypothyroidism, excessive raw kale intake could suppress the thyroid further, leading to fatigue, mood changes, or metabolism slowdowns. This effect is usually only a concern with raw consumption in large amounts. But with kale's popularity in juicing and raw salads, it's easy to exceed safe limits without realizing it. Then, there's the matter of oxalates. While kale is lower in oxalates than spinach, it still contributes a moderate amount, which can become problematic for those with kidney stone history or calcium absorption issues. So what's the right approach? Cook your kale. Light steaming or sautéing helps reduce goitrogens and makes nutrients more digestible. Limit raw kale smoothies. If you're on blood thinners or thyroid medication, eat your greens. Swap kale occasionally for arugula, romaine, or bok choy, all gentler options for the aging digestive system. And as always, discuss changes with your physician, especially if you take medications affected by vitamin K or thyroid hormones. At Silver Health Talk, we remind our audience, even superfoods have a threshold. And when your body is changing, as it does in your 60s, 70 seconds, and beyond, your diet should change too. Kale is not the enemy. But like a strong medicine, it must be used wisely, not daily, not excessively, and not without context. Next, we'll explore a vegetable commonly thought of as light and refreshing, served chilled in salads or sliced into sandwiches. But for some seniors, its wateriness may mask a surprising set of concerns.